Have you ever thought about growing your own food at home? A simple question, but one teeming with potential. Imagine stepping into your backyard, balcony, or even your kitchen windowsill and having fresh homegrown produce at your fingertips. Not only does it offer an unmatched sense of satisfaction, but it's a step towards a healthier, more sustainable lifestyle. Growing your own food provides unparalleled freshness straight from your garden to your plate. It's a cost-saving measure, eliminating the need for frequent trips to the grocery store for overpriced vegetables. What's more, you get complete control over what goes into your food. There's no need to worry about pesticides or other harmful substances. But where do you start? Well, that's where we come in. This video is your guide to cultivating a green thumb, even if you've never so much as planted a seed before. Today, we're going to explore 7 simple tips to help you start your own home garden. Tip number 1 is choosing the right crops. The secret to flourishing home gardens lies in the choice of crops. But it isn't merely about selecting your favorites. You need to account for factors like the local climate and the amount of space you have available. Remember, every plant has its own unique needs and growing conditions, so it's essential to do some research before getting your hands dirty. Let's talk about climate first. Some plants thrive in the heat of summer, while others prefer the cool weather of spring and fall. For instance, if you're in a region with hot summers, you might want to consider growing crops like tomatoes, peppers, or cucumbers. These heat-loving plants will flourish in the sun-drenched days of summer. On the other hand, if your area has milder temperatures, leafy greens like spinach, lettuce, and kale are excellent choices as they prefer cooler conditions. Now, let's consider space. If you're working with a small area or even a windowsill, don't despair. Many plants can thrive in compact spaces. Herbs are a perfect example. Basil, parsley, and chives can all be grown in small pots, and they're great for adding fresh flavors to your meals. For beginners, there are several easy-to-grow plants that can provide quick wins and boost your gardening confidence. Lettuce is a fantastic choice. It grows quickly and you can harvest the leaves over and over again. Tomatoes are another great option. They're robust, versatile, and there's nothing quite like the taste of a homegrown tomato. Herbs, as we mentioned earlier, are also a good choice. They're hardy, require minimal maintenance, and can be used in a variety of dishes. Choosing the right crops isn't just about successful cultivation, though. It's about the joy of watching your plants grow and flourish. It's about the satisfaction of harvesting your own food, knowing that it's fresh, organic, and grown by your own hands. The right choice of crops can set you up for a successful gardening journey. The second tip is about proper planting. Now, you may think that planting is as simple as poking a hole in the ground and dropping in a seed, but there's more to it than that. To ensure a healthy, fruitful garden, there are 3 key factors you need to consider: depth, spacing, and time of year. Firstly, let's talk about depth. Different seeds have different depth requirements. Some seeds, like lettuce or carrots, prefer to be planted just beneath the surface. Others, like beans or peas, need to be planted deeper. Generally, a seed should be planted at a depth approximately 3 times its diameter. Planting at the right depth is crucial because it affects how easily the seed can break through the soil and access light, which is essential for germination. Next is spacing. If you plant your seeds too close together, they'll compete for resources, and you might end up with weak, undernourished plants. On the other hand, if you plant them too far apart, you're wasting valuable garden space. To figure out the best spacing for your plants, you'll need to consider their mature size. For example, a fully grown tomato plant needs more space than a radish. Lastly, consider the time of year. Every plant has a preferred growing season. Some, like peas and spinach, prefer the cool temperatures of spring and fall. Others, like tomatoes and peppers, thrive in the heat of summer. Planting at the wrong time can lead to poor growth and reduced yields, so it's important to get this right. In essence, proper planting is a balancing act. You need to provide your seeds with the right conditions for them to grow and thrive. And while it may seem complicated at first, with a bit of practice, you'll soon get the hang of it. Remember, gardening is a journey, not a destination. So take your time, enjoy the process, and learn from your mistakes. And before you know it, you'll be reaping the rewards of your hard work in the form of fresh, homegrown produce. Proper planting is the first step towards a bountiful harvest. Our third tip involves consistent watering. The secret to growing healthy plants at home isn't just about how much water you give them, it's also about how often and consistently you do it. Watering is not a one-size-fits-all task. Different plants have different water needs, and it's our job to understand and meet them. Let's take tomatoes, for instance. They love water, and in the heat of summer, they may need watering every day. On the other hand, rosemary, a Mediterranean herb, thrives in drier conditions and requires less frequent watering. Understanding the watering needs of each plant in your garden is essential. Now, how can you tell if you're overwatering or underwatering? Well, the signs are quite similar. Leaves may turn yellow or brown, and they might even fall off. If you notice these signs, don't panic. The first step is to check the soil. If it's too dry, give your plant a good drink. If it's too wet, let it dry out before watering again. Overwatering is one of the most common mistakes made by novice gardeners. It's important to remember that plants, like people, need a balance. They need enough water to grow, but not so much that they drown. As a rule of thumb, it's better to underwater than overwater. Plants can usually recover from a little dry spell, but too much water can lead to root rot and other diseases that are harder to bounce back from. Consistency is key when it comes to watering. It's not just about giving your plants a drink when you remember to. It's about creating a regular watering schedule that meets the needs of your plants and sticking to it. That might mean watering your tomatoes every evening or giving your rosemary a drink every other day. Remember, your plants depend on you for their water, just like they depend on you for their sunlight and nutrients. It's a big responsibility, but it's also a rewarding one. By understanding and meeting the watering needs of your plants, you're not just growing food, you're growing life. Consistent watering is key to healthy, thriving plants. Tip number 4 is about adequate sunlight. Just like we humans need a balanced diet to grow and thrive, plants too need their fair share of sunlight. Sunlight is more than just a source of warmth for plants. It's an essential ingredient for photosynthesis, the process that allows plants to convert light energy into chemical energy, which fuels their growth. Now, different plants have different sunlight requirements. Some, like tomatoes and peppers, are sun lovers and need at least 6 to 8 hours of direct sunlight each day. Others, such as lettuce and spinach, can do well with less sun and are perfect for those shady spots in your garden. How do you ensure your plants get the right amount of sunlight? Well, it's all about positioning. If you're growing plants in a garden, observe the path of the sun throughout the day and position your plants accordingly. Sun-loving plants should be placed where they'll get the most light, while shade-tolerant plants can be tucked away in less sunny spots. For those of you growing plants indoors, a south-facing window is usually the best spot for sun-loving plants, but don't worry if you don't have a south-facing window. You can also use artificial grow lights to supplement natural light. Remember, it's not just about quantity, but also quality. Morning sunlight is generally better for plants because it's less intense than the afternoon sun. So if possible, position your plants to catch those early rays. But what if your plants aren't getting enough sunlight? They'll let you know. If your plants are leggy with long thin stems and few leaves, or if their leaves are pale or yellow, they're probably not getting enough light. So keep an eye on your plants and adjust their position or lighting as needed. After all, plants, like people, can be a bit fussy about their food. But with a bit of attention to their sunlight needs, you can help them grow strong and healthy. Remember, sunlight is food for your plants. Our 5th tip involves organic fertilizing. Now, organic fertilizers are an essential part of gardening, especially when you're looking to produce healthy and nutritious food right at home. Let's dive into the benefits of these natural powerhouses. Organic fertilizers are a sustainable choice, derived from plant and animal waste or mineral deposits. They are not only safe for the environment, but also for you, your family, and your pets. Unlike synthetic fertilizers, they do not pose a risk of chemical runoff contaminating our water sources. Organic fertilizers also offer a slow, steady release of nutrients. This gradual feed ensures that your plants are not overwhelmed with a sudden influx of nutrients, which can cause more harm than good. It also reduces the risk of nutrient leaching, making sure that your plants get the nourishment they need over a longer period. What's more, organic fertilizers improve soil structure. They enhance the soil's ability to hold water and nutrients, promoting healthier root development. Over time, this leads to more robust, resilient plants that are better equipped to withstand pests and diseases. Now, let's look at some common examples. Compost is a fantastic organic fertilizer that you can make at home using kitchen scraps like vegetable peels and coffee grounds. It's rich in nutrients and beneficial microorganisms that help improve soil health. Bone meal is another excellent choice, particularly for plants that require a high phosphorus level. It's made from finely ground animal bones and is an exceptional source of slow-release phosphorus. This nutrient plays a crucial role in root development and flowering. Other organic fertilizers include seaweed, worm castings, and fish emulsion. Each of these options has its unique composition of nutrients, so consider your plant's needs when choosing the right fertilizer. Remember, the key to successful organic fertilizing is to apply these materials correctly and in the right amounts. Over-fertilization can be as harmful as under-fertilization. With organic fertilizers, you're not just feeding your plants, but also improving your soil. So, let's embrace this sustainable gardening practice and enjoy the fruits, or shall we say veggies, of our labor. The sixth tip is regular pruning. Now, you might wonder, why is pruning so important? Well, let me tell you, pruning is like giving your plants a little haircut, ensuring they maintain a good shape and encouraging them to grow more vigorously. Pruning helps in removing dead or dying branches, allowing the plant to focus its energy on the healthier parts, leading to better growth and productivity. It also helps in maintaining the plant's shape, ensuring that sunlight reaches all parts, which is vital for photosynthesis. Now, let's get into some simple pruning tips for common plants. For flowering plants, it's best to prune them just after they've finished blooming. This way, you're not cutting off any future blooms. For fruit trees, late winter is usually the best time to prune, just before new growth starts. This allows you to see the structure of the tree clearly and make more accurate cuts. For vegetables, pruning depends on the type of plant. For example, tomato plants benefit from regular pruning throughout the growing season to maintain airflow and direct energy towards fruit production. In contrast, root vegetables like carrots or radishes don't require pruning at all. Always remember to use sharp, clean tools when pruning to make clean cuts and prevent the spread of disease. It's also important to make your cuts at a slight angle, away from the bud, to prevent water from settling on the cut surface, which could lead to rot. Don't be afraid to prune your plants. It might seem like you're hurting them, but in reality, you're helping them. Think of it as a plant health check, where you're removing the unhealthy parts to allow the healthy ones to thrive. Remember, the goal of pruning is to improve the health, productivity, and appearance of your plants. So don't shy away from giving your plants a little trim now and then. It's all part of the gardening journey. Regular pruning keeps your plants healthy and productive. So grab those pruning shears and give your garden the care it deserves. Our final tip is about pest control. Every gardener's heart sinks a bit when they spot the telltale signs of pests in their garden. These tiny invaders, whether they are insects, birds or rodents, can wreak havoc on your carefully cultivated crops, often undoing weeks of hard work in a matter of days. But fear not, there are organic and safe ways to control these uninvited guests. Early detection is the cornerstone of effective pest control. The sooner you spot the signs of an infestation, the quicker you can act, and the less damage your crops will sustain. So, make it a habit to inspect your plants regularly. Look for signs of damage, such as holes in the leaves, discolored patches, or a sticky residue on the plant's surface. These are often the first indicators of a pest problem. Now, let's talk about organic pest control methods. One of the simplest ways to deter pests is to introduce their natural predators into your garden. For instance, ladybugs and lacewings are excellent at controlling aphids, while birds can help keep slug populations in check. You can attract these beneficial creatures to your garden by planting a variety of flowers and providing nesting boxes or bird feeders. Another effective method is to use organic sprays and powders. These products, made from natural ingredients like neem oil, garlic and chili powder, can deter pests without harming your plants or the environment. And remember, the key is to apply these treatments regularly and thoroughly to keep the pests at bay. Finally, consider using physical barriers to protect your crops. Netting can keep birds from feasting on your berries, while copper tape around the base of your plants can deter slugs and snails. These methods are particularly effective for protecting young plants that are most vulnerable to pest damage. Remember, pest control is an ongoing process. It requires vigilance and a proactive approach, but the result, a thriving, productive garden, is well worth the effort. Effective pest control ensures that your hard work doesn't go to waste. And those are our 7 tips for growing your own food at home. From choosing the right crops that thrive in your local climate and soil, to understanding the essentials of proper planting, each step is a building block for a bountiful harvest. Remember, consistent watering is key, but so is ensuring your plants get adequate sunlight. Never underestimate the power of organic fertilizing to enrich your soil and boost your plants' health. Regular pruning will keep your plants in check and maximize their productivity. And of course, a successful gardener always has a plan for pest control. Each of these steps is simple yet effective, and together they pave the way for a thriving home garden. So why not give it a try? Embrace the joy of growing your own food and revel in the satisfaction of a harvest well earned. With these tips in mind, you're well on your way to enjoying fresh, homegrown food. Happy gardening!